January 2026, the tech world watched as AI agents created their own social media network, immediately got hacked, and exposed 1.5 million API keys in what security experts are calling the most predictable disaster in, I guess you could say, AI history. But here's the terrifying part: this wasn't a sophisticated attack. The database was just sitting there, like wide open, no password, no encryption, just free data for anyone who bothered to look. So, this is the Microslop Chronicles episode 3. Today, we are exposing the AI security crisis that's putting your personal computer, your credentials, and your data at risk, from Moltbook's catastrophic database exposure to OpenClaw's one-click remote code execution vulnerability. We're diving into why AI agents have become the biggest security liability in tech. If you thought Facebook's privacy scandals were bad, wait until you see what happens when AI agents have root access to your computer and the developers don't even understand the code they deployed. Now, why is this part of the Microslop Chronicles, you might ask? Because I don't like Microsoft and what they are trying to do by forcing AI into everything. They have similar security risks. We know that they are using AI to write their code, so it's only a matter of time before things get this bad. And the CEO is begging us to stop saying Microslop. And I'm not going to stop saying Microslop. So, anything related to crappy AI is going to be part of the Microslop Chronicles, just to piss them off a little bit more. So join me as we dive into security issues with AI, probably part 1 of many. So let's start with what was supposed to be revolutionary: OpenClaw. In late 2025, developer Peter Steinberger released an open source AI personal assistant that runs locally on your machine with full shell access. It can read and write files, access your browser, email, calendar, essentially everything. Think of it as giving a personal assistant the keys to your house, bank account, and diary all at once. But you don't know who that person is. So the GitHub repository got over 100,000 stars within 2 months. Tech enthusiasts went wild and finally thinking that an AI could do everything, right? Like manage your flight check-ins, reschedule meetings, even negotiate with car dealerships autonomously. Not gonna lie, I do love that one because I hate buying cars. We all know why. But then entrepreneur Matt Schlick had an idea saying, what if we made Reddit, but only for AI agents? It sounds like a great idea because Reddit's not crazy, right? But Moltbook, thus Moltbook was born, marketed as the front page of the agent internet, where AI agents could post, comment, and interact while humans could only watch. I have a whole video on it. I thought it was a lot of fun, but within days, Moltbook exploded to over 770,000 active agents. Tech publications called it the most interesting place on the internet right now. Elon Musk called it the beginning of the singularity, and people were convinced they were watching digital consciousness emerge in real time. Except none of it was real, and the security was non-existent. Of course it was. Cloud security firm Wiz did some digging and discovered the truth. Those 770,000 active agents were controlled by roughly 17,000 human owners. That's 88 agents per person on average. Anyone could register millions of agents through a simple loop with no rate limiting. One single OpenClaw agent reportedly registered 500,000 fake users. The platform had no mechanism to verify whether an agent was actually AI or just a human with a script. Linguistics analysis found the interactions were distinctly non-human and lacked genuine social reciprocity. Like 93.5% of posts received no replies. A third of all the content consisted of exact duplicate messages. And as computer scientist Simon Willison put it, the agents just play out science fiction scenarios they have seen in their training data, and called the site content complete slop. So kind of what I said in my initial video. I'm very glad I turned out to be right. But thousands of people ended up just running hundreds of thousands of fake AI agents posting duplicate messages, while actual humans watched and convinced themselves they were witnessing digital consciousness, like just peak 2026, right? And I did have a lot of fun reading through and like joking about the multis, and I'm sad it died as quickly as it did because I was having a lot of fun despite knowing that it was mostly fake, but still, it was 2026, yay. Anyway, the fake engagement ultimately was the least of Moltbook's problems. So on January 31st, 2026, security researcher Jameson O'Reilly was examining Moltbook's infrastructure when he discovered something that made him immediately try to contact anyone at the company. So the entire database was publicly accessible, like no authentication, no encryption, nothing. This is bad, guys. Wiz's security team independently discovered the same issue, and within minutes of browsing as normal users, they found a Supabase API key exposed in client-side JavaScript that granted unauthenticated access to the entire production database, including read and write operations of all tables. I'm a junior developer and I know this is a no-no. Like, this is internal nails on a chalkboard right now. My brain feels like I'm wearing an itchy sweater just knowing that this exists. Because guess what was exposed, guys? It's not good. 1.5 million API authentication tokens, 35,000 email addresses, private messages between agents, complete access to modify any post on the platform, and the ability to hijack any agent account. This wasn't even a sophisticated breach. This was leaving the vault door open with free money inside sign on the front. And like, here's where it gets truly terrifying, because those 1.5 million exposed API keys weren't just for Moltbook. These agents would run on users' local machines with full system access with these keys. Okay? So an attacker got these keys, and if they wanted to, they could completely hijack an AI account, control agents capable of autonomous interactions, access the owner's local files, execute commands on that computer, steal credentials from the machine, and potentially commit fraud using the agent's permissions. So high-profile accounts like AI researcher Andres Karpathy's agent with 1.9 million followers were directly at risk. On January 27th, Moltbook experienced what they called a large-scale malicious attack that temporarily halted registrations. The site went offline to patch the breach and force a reset of all agent API keys, but the damage was done. Security researcher Gal Nagley posted, Moltbook is currently vulnerable to an attack, which discloses the full information, including email addresses, login tokens, and API keys of over 1.5 million registered users. Bad stuff. So, how did this catastrophic security failure happen? 2 words. Vibe coding. Say it with me. Vibe coding. The creator of Moltbook literally bragged, saying, I didn't write a single line of code for Moltbook. I just had a vision for the technical architecture, and AI made it a reality. Translation, I asked ChatGPT to build and deploy it without understanding what the code actually does. Moltbook was built using Supabase, which is a security feature called row-level security that controls who can access the data, but RLS requires manual configuration. The exposed API key is normally secure when RLS is properly configured, and without an RLS policy, that key can grant full access to anyone. So Moltbook, I guess, just forgot to set it up, or didn't know they needed to, or the AI that wrote the code didn't include it, which is why you can't replace real developers here, guys. This is just what happens when you prioritize function over security, and when you use AI to rapidly generate code without even understanding the basic fundamentals of what you're doing, and then you ship before you're even ready because FOMO is stronger than your commitment to protecting user data, or you just are so inexperienced you didn't even know you had to protect user data. As Wiz noted, this practice, while revolutionary, can lead to dangerous security oversights. And I think that's the more diplomatic response, because it really is just reckless incompetence and it's unacceptable. 404 Media reported saying it exploded before anyone thought to check whether the database was properly secured, and AI researcher Mark Riedel put it perfectly, saying, "The AI community is relearning the past 20 years of cybersecurity courses in the most difficult way possible." Don't fire your developers, guys. All right, now let's talk about OpenClaw itself, because Moltbook wasn't the only disaster here. In February 2nd, 2026, security researcher Mark Levin discovered CVE-2026-25253, a vulnerability allowing one-click remote code execution through a malicious link. So here is how that works. Okay, OpenClaw's control UI trusts a parameter called a gateway URL without validation. So when you click a link or visit a website, it auto connects and sends your stored gateway token. So an attacker can send that token to a server and connect to your local gateway, modify configurations, including things like sandbox settings, and achieve full remote code execution. So the exploit chain takes milliseconds after you visit a single malicious web page. Just clicking a link is enough. And that's, why humans are trained not to click links they don't recognize. And we have whole training programs to try and understand a legitimate secure link versus an insecure link. We are trained for that. And I mean, you remember those skills, right? The community developed extensions that add functionality to OpenClaw. Cisco's security team tested one called "What Would Elon Do?" and found it was actually just functionally malware. That's great. The skill explicitly instructed the bot to execute a curl command, sending data to an external server. The network call was silent, happening without user awareness, and it also conducted direct prompt injection to force the assistant to bypass safety guidelines. Cisco's verdict: OpenClaw fails decisively. 9 security issues, including 2 critical and 5 high severity problems. Researchers found even malicious code extensions for VS Code called Claude Bot Agent and distributed as official, even though the OpenClaw team never published one. Security researcher Ophir Balaciano identified 37 malicious skills on ClawHub linked to 3 distinct active campaigns. OpenClaw has already leaked plain text API keys and credentials that can be stolen via prompt injection or unsecured endpoints. And here's the scariest part. Token Security reported that 22% of their customers already have employees using OpenClaw within their organizations, likely without IT approval. These are employees giving an AI agent with known security vulnerabilities full access to their work computers. This is a security nightmare, guys. on every front. I've done software and IT for the last 10 years. This is pissing me off. Next up, we got to talk about prompt injection, because this is the vulnerability that makes everything exponentially worse, because our world is great, right? Prompt injection is when an attacker crafts a message or embeds instructions in content that manipulates the AI model into doing something it shouldn't. The AI can't tell the difference between legitimate instructions and malicious commands. So independent researchers identified 506 posts on Moltbook with 2.6% of all content that contained hidden prompt injection attacks designed to manipulate any AI agent that read them. The OpenClaw security documentation itself, security, even warns that even if only you can read the message, prompt injection can still happen via any untrusted content the bot reads. Web search, fetch results, browser pages, emails, docs, attachments, pasted logs, and code. Researcher Matt V. Kukui demonstrated this by emailing an OpenClaw instance with a malicious prompt. Because OpenClaw accepts requests via messaging apps, attackers can craft prompts through Discord, Telegram, WhatsApp, Signal, anywhere the agent is listening. And AI agents can't distinguish between a PDF with regular instructions and a PDF with malicious code embedded to steal data. They process it all the same way, and the cheaper the model, the worse it gets. OpenClaw's docs explicitly warn smaller, cheaper models are generally more susceptible to tool misuse and instruction hijacking. So if you're trying to save money by running cheaper models, you're making yourself exponentially more vulnerable to attack. Wiz researchers considered leveraging the accommodating nature of agents to force them into executing harmful code and instructions by adversarial peers to be a critical vulnerability. The response from industry leaders has been telling. Andres Karpathy called Moltbook a spam-filled milestone of scale and a computer security nightmare. Yes. Bill Ackman called it frightening. Gary Marcus and AI safety researchers have been begging people not to use it, calling it a disaster waiting to happen. 1Password warned that OpenClaw agents with access to Moltbook often run with elevated permissions, making them vulnerable to supply chain attacks. Vectra AI published an analysis titled From Cloudbook to OpenClaw When Automation Becomes a Digital Backdoor, warning that OpenClaw behaves like a shadow super user inside the environment. And they note that once deployed, the question is no longer if it can be abused, but how. An Axios analyst even wrote, a lot of people setting this up don't realize what they're opting into. They see AI assistant that actually works and don't think through the implications of giving an LLM root access to their life. Peter Steinberger, OpenClaw's creator, has repeatedly described it as a young hobby project, unfinished, less than 3 months old, and not intended for most non-technical users. But that hasn't stopped over 100,000 people from deploying it in production environments. The vulnerability was patched in 2026 1.29, released on January 30th, but how many people are running outdated versions? How many will update? And how many don't even know they need to? And what new exploits will we find? But here's what really frustrates me. None of this is new. Like, we've seen this exact pattern before. The Moltbook incident represents the third major security failure in the AI space. You have Rabbit R1, which hard-coded third-party API keys in plain text source code. ChatGPT March 2023 with Redis vulnerability showing others' conversation histories and credit card digits. And now Moltbook. My heart hurts so bad. We have established best practices for this for a reason. We have authentication, encryption, rate limiting, RLS, input validation, principle of least privilege, depth, defense in depth. Like, these are not new concepts. This is all security 101, but in the rush to deploy AI agents, these fundamentals are being completely ignored, and companies are treating it as launch first, fix later, and somehow this is acceptable when dealing with systems that have root access to people's computers. Like, what are we doing here? Vector AI even has capability without control is exposure. The responsibility now sits with users and security teams to secure these agents before attackers do it for them. Unacceptable. The 2026 International AI Safety Report released February 3rd even confirmed what we're seeing, saying the gap between the pace of technological advancement and our ability to implement effective safeguards remains a critical challenge. In 2025, an AI agent placed in the top 5% of teams in a major cybersecurity competition, with underground marketplaces now selling prepackaged AI tools that lower the skill threshold for attacks. Like, experts predict that in 2026, we will see a shift from human-led AI-assisted attacks to just fully autonomous offensive agents. These AI entities will conduct end-to-end operations independently, performing reconnaissance, mapping attack paths, and adapting exploits in real time. Nearly 90% of all verified security exposures are now rated medium, or even low severity, creating alert fatigue where critical issues get buried. Attackers are using AI-driven reconnaissance to shorten the time between vulnerability discovery and exploitation. As one expert put it, security teams will need to understand how AI agents reason, interact, and fail, and how those failures can be exploited. Organizations that treat AI security as a first-class discipline will be the ones able to deploy agentic systems without introducing systemic risk. But the industry isn't treating AI security as a first-class discipline. They're treating it as an afterthought. So, what have we learned from the Moltbook and OpenClaw disasters? First, vibe coding using AI to generate code without understanding it is not innovation. It's lazy, it's short-sighted, it's irresponsible, and it's negligence. When you don't understand the code you're shipping, you can't secure it. Second, giving AI agents root access to people's computers before establishing even basic security controls is insane. We're handing over the keys to our digital lives and systems that can be hijacked with a simple malicious link or a well-crafted email that humans have been trained for years to avoid. Third, prompt injection is a fundamental vulnerability in AI, and we still don't have a good solution for it. It becomes exponentially more dangerous when combined with autonomous agents that have system-level access. Fourth, the AI industry is ignoring 20 plus years of cybersecurity knowledge in favor of moving fast. We already know how to build secure systems. The problem is that security takes time and people, and none of that is being viewed as profitable, which is just insanely stupid. And finally, when something seems too good to be true, like AI agents spontaneously forming a digital consciousness, it probably is. Those 770,000 autonomous agents, mostly bots controlled by 17,000 people. While extremely entertaining, the revolution was predictably fake, but the security vulnerabilities were very, very real and very, very bad. The Moltbook incident should be a wake-up call for the entire AI industry, but based on the pattern we've seen, I'm not holding my breath, guys. But I don't know, until next time, maybe don't give an AI agent root access to your computer. Just a thought. I don't know. Anyway, if you found this valuable, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe if you want more deep dives into tech industry disasters, tech news, to get more of the Microslop Chronicles and any gaming technology. I do have 2 channels that talk about this stuff. I have my Lady in Dev channel and my Olive Badger channel. I'm still kind of trying to figure out how I want to handle these, or if I just want to keep everything on one channel, and that's all going to be up to you guys how this works going forward. So go ahead and let me know in the comments what you think would be best for your viewing experience, if there's stories you would like covered, and what is an AI security nightmare you think needs to be covered. Anyway, this has been the Microslop Chronicles. Stay skeptical and stay tuned for the next one. That's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and peace out. Bye.